She in first grade?
Okay, we're all
She
set
just
now.
passed in the first, yeah.
We're all
she
ready
was in
now.
kindergarten.
Yeah. Tony was in first grade and he passed
It's recording.
in the second.
Okay, all set.
Well, he looks
Get
like
your
Lester.
chair over here.
He's got dark eyes, though. You got dark eyes, Lester?
No, his daddy does.
Anyway, well, I'm starting to say out there before we interrupted you.
She thought I had her lost.
Really?
I did there for a minute. And we lost too.
Yeah.
I thought territorial went right straight through that town. But you don't. You go do a jog like that and then go straight
Yeah.
through.
Yeah.
Through Keeler, yeah.
Yeah.
You don't remember how long you lived in Goodhart, do you, Mom?
Yes, well, not exactly. Now,
Is that going?
we lived, my dad carried mail up there 6 years.
Yeah.
About 6 years. He done some farm work, I think. One thing and another. And maybe we was up there 8 years. I don't remember.
But you said you were 16, or you just turned 16 right after you left there, so you must have been about 7 or 8.
I got in Alton. I got in, let me see now. Yeah, I got in Alton. Not the folks and all of us. And a couple of days after that, I was 16 years old. And I must have been 8 or 10 years old. Lived there in Alton, Illinois, and went to school. Then the folks decided to go back to Michigan. We went up there, but the first trip we made, we was going to live out on a farm. And it was up on top of a hill. And you go down through the timber, a little pathway, down into the Indian village. And
Was that Middle Village? The Indian Village?
uh-huh.
Yeah.
Little village. And we lived there. Us children went to school. And Dad carried mail. And of course, Mama just took care of the family. And, but we got up there at Goodhart one night, just at dark. We had a little baby brother, and of course we never did find out for sure what was the matter with him. But he had something strange matter. My mother one time, he's about 4 weeks old, and she went to change his diaper, and he had a bright red spot on his hip, and a white one come right below it, and they just started coming. And so we was getting ready to move up in northern Michigan, and the doctor told my mother, she wanted to take the baby with her, she'd better go. So that night, about 2010 if I remember, we got the train out for Harbor Springs. And that baby was sick all the way. We got in Harbor Springs the next day, about noon. And the next day at noon, the little baby was gone.
Hmm.
And we, my dad, them, went to the cemetery. And then we went on
What
out
do you
to
look for,
Goodhart
Lester?
that night.
Okay.
And we got in Goodhart and we had snow. And we of course was in a strange place, knew nothing about it. And you had to go down across the farm and down a hill. And there was a spring where we got our water. And we lived there. And my dad worked. He
Well, where did, you said that your brother was buried at Goodhart?
yeah, I got a baby there.
What cemetery, you know?
Well, there's just two cemeteries up there in that part of the country. Ours was right by the church. Only church we had, except the Catholic Church. And they had a big cemetery by their church. When we buried my little brother there, there were just about 2 or 3 other people there in the graveyard. And well, we got there, we had to go to school right away. If you missed over 3 days of school, your folks would be fined, or they used to tell us they'd send us to reform school. We didn't go to school. And the first day we went to school, my dad had sort of talked to a couple of Indian boys, brothers, and they lived right close to us there. And it must have told my dad they'd come and take on Brother Charles to school. So the next morning, here they come. They walked up by our place, and when we got, they started walking right back before us. Never said a word. They took us on to the school. We went to school there about 6 years. And they was mixed congregation. They was part Indian and part our people. But they all played together. And of course they learned books like we did. And I don't know how many years we went to school there. But anyway, we kept going back. And up there in the winter time, the snow got real deep. I've heard them say we'd have as much as 5 foot of snow. And maybe we'd be getting snow about the last part of September or in September. And in March, in the spring, and maybe April and May, we'd still have snow. And we didn't have no trouble getting around. They had what they called sleighs, horses, hitch horses to them. And that's what we traveled in the winter. And kids had hand sleds and everything. But moved one place we moved, when we moved back to Harbor Springs, we moved right in close to an old factory, as well as I remember. And it had closed down, I don't know how long. And the old man that owned that factory said that the boys, and I guess girls too, that would come and register their name, he would give them a sled. And so Brother Charles, he's one who got the sled. We all enjoyed it. But the place where we went to school, that road was awful hilly, had long hills. When we got up to the schoolhouse and we went to go beyond the school, this great big long hill. And in the wintertime, we'd take them bobsleds and hand sleds, and we'd pull them up the top of that big hill, or pretty near it. Then we'd flop down on them sleds, and we'd go right on past that old school like it wasn't there. Up one hill, down the other. And we'd doing that at noon hour when we was at school. Well, we had that sled, I don't know, a long time. I never registered for one, Doug did. I mean, Brother Charles. And we no guessing how many hand sleds was out. We lived there a while after we moved into the village. And I guess about the next day after we moved, an old Indian man come to our house. They was having what they call feast days. And them Indians, around among all of them, they'd have big feast days, maybe for about a week, one place and another. So my dad been carrying mail, and he'd done some work for an old man. Done something for him, I don't know, haul packages or something. And that old man wasn't going to pay. So, finally, I guess Dad must have asked him about it. Well, he said he had some sweet cider, and he wanted Dad to take a barrel of that cider on that day. My dad did. So Dad brought that supposed to be sweet cider home. And I think he told Mom that was vinegar. So next morning, an old Indian man come, knocked on the door. He wanted some cider for feast days. Well, Mom sold him a gallon of cider, and the Indians just kept coming. And she sold them cider. Said she looked out, and that whole village, as far as you could see, was drunk. My mom wouldn't have sold a bit of liquor for anything in the world.
And that was when you lived in Middle Village?
Yeah.
And now when you lived in Middle Village, you said there was, you remember where the Catholic Church was at?
Well, we lived right by it.
Lived right close to the Catholic Church?
Yeah. We lived in a house, and we had a barn, and then was a Catholic church and the Catholic cemetery. On the same side of the street, road.
That'd be on the same side of the road as the lake, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So lived there, but when Mom sold that old guy that gallon of vinegar, they just kept coming, kept coming. Mom said she looked out and pretty near that whole village was drunk. And they know, them Indians know that wasn't sweet cider. But anyway, finally got things straightened out.
Well, you know, now there's only, we were just up there, there's only, we could find 4 houses left in the village, in the old village.
In the village?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And the Catholic Church is still there.
yeah.
I think there's an old barn there on the opposite side of the road.
Is there? I didn't remember.
I think there is. I'm not real sure.
A what?
An old barn's still there.
Oh, that
But I'm
was-
not real sure if it's, you know, from back then.
But that was
Is the
across the
road-
road from the church.
Is
That
the
was-
road paved now, or?
No.
It's a dirt.
No.
It's a gravel road. In fact, if you go up there and when you find the church, we found it by accident because we turned down that road. I told Sue, as soon as I find a place to turn around, we're going to turn around and go back, because it just turned into a gravel road and it looked like there wasn't anything down there.
Uh-huh.
And then before we could find a place to turn around, we come to that church. And it's like it's down there, you know, stuck down there, away from everything.
Yeah.
But there's some, like I said, there's at least 4 of those houses left that we found in
Uh-huh.
the original village, and one of them, the people had made it into a summer home. It was a nice place.
Uh-huh.
And
What-
someone had been working on one of the others, but the other 2, they were just like they were abandoned. They looked like they were ready
Uh-huh.
to fall down. The roof had big holes and stuff.
Oh, that road you come to, down there by the church, you keep going straight down through the road, down the road a ways, and you'd start going through timber, just a big line of timber on both sides of the road, and the road right down the center.
You
Well,
mean
you
going
keep-
south?
Huh?
You mean going south? If you kept going south,
North.
north?
Yeah, and you kept going straight on south, north, and after you'd gone about a mile or so, you'd run right into the only store that was there. Had a big store on one side of the road, and on the other side of the road, man had the store, had a big ice house. Well, I don't know what all he had, but
What was his name? Do you remember?
Lampkin,
Mhm.
yeah. And well, of course, all of us kids went to school together. That Mr. Lampkin, he had a farm, and we later moved on to that farm, and we lived there. And my dad still carried mail. But we got acquainted with the Indians and everything. And one day, when we lived in the village, my mother told Charles and I she wanted us to go to the store and get some whatever it was she wanted, I don't know. And Charles and I,
What you want to drink?
Yeah, he wouldn't.
It's in the
What?
refrigerator here. You don't want to be in that picture going across it.
we got in that
Just a minute, huh?
village and got onto the road and went right straight through the timber. And we'd come to the Goodhart store. But the first time, about the first experience I had with the Indians, that day when Mama sent us to church, we got home and just ready to walk out of the timber when an old Indian man stepped out and said, "Bonjour, nooks and new today." Of course, we know all about that, but you don't care for what you say. And he laughed. He thought that was fun. He knew we didn't know, couldn't talk Indian. But that's all there was to it. And the first Indian lady, squaws they call them, that come to our church to visit, come to our house up on top of the hill to visit, Indian squaw come door one day and knocked. Mama went to the door and asked her in. She come in, Mama gave her a chair. She walked in, sat down. She never said a word as long as she sat there. Pretty soon she said, I guess I'll go. And she went. That's the way she visited. Oh, yeah. And, and we could go right out across our little place there and start walking right down the beach. And it was right beside the lake. And the lake shores was all white sand, far as you could see.
Yeah.
And we'd go down there. We had a boardwalk stretched from our place down pretty near to the water. We used to go down there and play in that water, just have a good time. And one time, some Indians decided to take us for a boat ride, Charles and I. And we got in the boat, went way out, maybe a couple miles or so on the water. We come back and landed right back on the shore. And with an awful lot of timber up there, they had the wagon roads and that. Well, there wasn't too many months that you could drive a car up there, and they didn't have the cars to start with. Horses is what they drove. We'd go down there, and them Indians, first we moved there pretty close to Christmas one year, I think. And when Christmas come around, there was some Indians by the name of King lived right across from us. And of course Uncle Frank, my dad's brother, he knew them Indians. So they sent us an invitation to come to their Christmas party. Well, we didn't go, but you know, they sent us a gift. Yeah.
Well, we were going to ask you,
Uh-huh.
like when we were up there Memorial Day, and we went to the Catholic church, and then we went through the cemetery, and we wrote down some names off from some of the grave markers there that we thought that were about your age. And some of those were King. There was a Rose King, but now she would have been about 10 years older than you, maybe. Maybe a little older. But
Yeah.
there were quite a few Kings there in the
Well,
cemetery.
we know that one family of Kings, and they had 2 or 3 girls, and I can remember that Indian woman, Mrs. King. She had a sewing machine. Of course, that time we didn't have. So she let my mother take her sewing machine and keep it a whole week to sew. And they had a little Indian boy, Moses was his name. And whenever them women had a baby, they didn't name them children. They took them to the priest, and he named them. So we just went on and got acquainted with them people. Of course, they were somewhat odd, but never bothered us too much.
Well, you said it was your Uncle Frank went up there first?
Huh?
You say your Uncle Frank went up to Goodhart first? Was he the first one in the family that went up there?
Up to Goodhart, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was up there quite a while. I believe about 6 years. Maybe not. That before we moved up there. And he'd been up there a while. And he come back to Alton on a visit us folks. And he, well, I don't know what all he done, but he finally got to go to see this Indian woman, Angeline Naganash. And they finally got married. And they had 2 or 3 boys and a little girl when they come to Alton on a visit. Their little girl got whooping cough and she died. She's buried up there, I guess, somewhere. Then they kept the boys and brought them to Alton on a visit. Well, they stayed there. And now them Indian boys, well, there was 3 of them, and they growed up, and I just heard recently, I guess Esther told me, that Indian boy, Uncle Frank's boy, celebrated their 50th anniversary.
Mm-hmm. That was Leonard.
Huh?
That was Leonard.
Yeah, Leonard.
Leonard.
Leonard, he was the youngest.
Mm-hmm.
There was Francis and Leander. He
Said his name was Leander, but they called him Willard, didn't they?
one was Willard,
Yeah.
the oldest one.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was Francis and Leonard. Of course, the little girl died. No, let's see. Yes, there was Willard and Francis and Leonard. And the youngest one was the one that celebrated his 50th anniversary. I don't know where they're at. I suppose they're up north somewhere. Them, well, they left Alton when them kids was small.
Well, you said that after you went up there,
Yeah,
then your grandparents came up there later?
yeah,
And they stayed there quite a while, or not?
oh yes.
Yeah.
They, they lived a couple miles or more from us, I think. They lived on a farm, same as we did. And I used to walk over there and stay all night once in a while with my grandparents and my aunt and uncle. Then, when we'd been there about 6 years or more, the folks and Grandpa's folks decided they'd move back to Alton. So, we had a big auction sale and sold what they had on the farm there, or whatever they had. we put them together and had a big auction. And we moved back to Alton. Grandpa and Granny never did go back, but we did. Let's see, I forget just how long we stayed up there. Well, then we come back to Alton, and to my grandparents. Let's see, yeah. And my dad got a job back at the old glass factory where he worked before. And I and my oldest brother, Charles, we got a job at the Western working in the war shelves. And worked there quite a long while. And we had cousins that worked there. Well, and during World War I heard that the Germans threatened to blow that place up. And of course, we went in there in the morning, had what we called a clock house, and then a big fence all around that place, and we were locked in there. I mean, so nobody could go in and out. And one day, I've been working on a machine, and one day, at noon, we sat down and had lunch, and when we started to go back to work, we heard an awful explosion, and it was close, and we were scared. We started to run, but you couldn't get out. One woman lived on the street below us. She got injured bad enough she died that night. And there was another girl that we knew, and she was working there. She lost her slipper. I guess she's afraid to go back get it. Well, that old crazy boss, he started, oh, sit down, nothing wrong. And it wasn't at our place, but the big powder mill's right next to us. A place in there blowed up. And, well, it just so happened, though, that morning, I and one of my cousins, some others got laid off for 2 weeks. And the neighbor lady, she didn't know that we had come home and I'd gone to town. She didn't know that, but she guess was afraid I was still working in there. So she comes to tell Mom that about the explosion. And just so happened I'd come home and went to town. We were about 5 miles anyway from that factory. And then I got scared to work there because I got talking at the end, the Germans said they're going to blow that place up. But it never happened. But that one time, once in a while they had that explosion thing.
Where did you say you lived in Alton? What was the street?
We lived first Long Avenue. Then
You don't remember the address when you after all this time?
it was either 1129, 1149, in a big stone house, big double house. But my dad and mom had bought a place up on top of the hill, and that street was Hampton Street, Summit Street. Oh, I don't know how long they lived there. Oh, we had all kinds of time. Finally, we moved out, went to country. That is, on top. Get dug and firm roof. We went to the country and lived.
Well, when did you live? Didn't you live at Columbia Ann Ranch for a while? When was that?
Yes, that's several miles away from that, up the river. I don't know just how far, but quite a ways, but yet wasn't too far, that we lived up there, and it was a great big ranch. We had a big ranch house, a big barn, house, and of course we had neighbors. And let me see, we had ranch house. And my dad, no, not my dad, your dad, was what they call barn dog. That meant that he took care of the horses and the barn and everything. Called him barn boss or barn dog. He worked up there. I got sick. We went back off.
Are you getting tired?
No.
No.
Mom was telling me the other day.
Most of the day, or quite a lot of the day.
Mom was telling me the other day about how some guys, a couple of guys from Chicago, got stranded or down there, or they were vacationers, whatever. Were stranded out there on the lake down there at Goodhart.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll let Mom finish telling about it. She knows.
Well,
better.
I'll tell you. We lived right close to a big town. We'd just come across the lake from Petoskey, Michigan. And rich people used to come up through there. They had summer cottages and things. And they come up there from Petoskey, I think, a couple men, and they decided to go out on the lake fishing. And while they was out there, come a bad storm on the lake, and they were stranded out there. And they were just in a little fish boat. They couldn't get nobody to get them, go get them men, till finally a couple of Indians, they said they'd go get them. They went down to their boats, went out on that lake, and got them men, and brought them to their home in the village. Got them, brought them home, and give them, I guess, dry clothes and everything. Fed them, but there wasn't going nobody pay them Indian men for doing that. I don't know if they ever did give settlement or not, but they was talking about it, I know. And of course, I don't know whatever would come of them then.
Well, you must have, it must have been about 1905 or 1906, somewhere in there, when you went to Goodhart then. If you
Something.
were born in 1897,
Yeah,
so then you left there in 1913, probably. If you were 16 years old, or just, yeah, you would have
Well,
left in 1913. So you must have gotten there about 1905 or
yeah.
6, 4, somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm.
Then you and Uncle Charles were the only ones that went to school. Well, no, you wouldn't have been the only ones that went to school, were you?
That done what?
That went to school up there.
No, Leela went. Your Aunt Leela. She went to school. Sylvia was too young.
Well, Aunt Lila, was she born in Alton? She must have been born in Alton too.
No,
No?
she was born in a little place where we lived, call it Pike County, Illinois.
Oh.
And my Grandpa Armstrong, he had died, but he had a big fruit farm, and he farmed too, him and my mother, and we went out there, and my mama's oldest sister, you come right down the hill from Grandpa's place, and you cross the little creek, and you could just step over it. We used to go out to my aunt's and stay out there till we got ready to go home. And we was right close to the place where I was born. And my brother Charles was born up there in that part of the country.
In Pike County?
Huh?
In Pike County, you said? You
Yeah.
were born in Pike County? I
Yeah.
thought you were born in Alton, but not so.
No, we lived there. I don't know, probably was 6 years old or a little older when we moved from Pike County to Alton.
Well, you must not have been too long after that when you went to Goodhart, was it?
Oh, let's see. Oh, yes, quite a while. Several years. And at Pike County, there was I and Charles and Leela and Silva. And my brother Howard was born up there in that little country place called Atlas, Illinois. And we had lived there before, I think. And we moved out there, and Brother Howard was born in Atlas, Illinois. Then Sylvia evidently was born there, and Howard and Leela and Charles and myself. Then my dad's oldest sister, her family lived in Alton, Illinois, and we went down there, and my dad got a job driving a horse and what they called a drag, just a one-horse little wagon thing that they hauled stuff to make glass with, and stuff they called it batch. And my dad hauled that wherever it was supposed to go, or on the glass factory property. I don't know how long he did that. Well, when we come back to Alton, he got a job back at the glass factory, but not the same one. And he was what they call a car loading gang. They'd take trucks or wheelbarrows, and they'd take and pick up the glass bottles and the glassware, and after they had been worked on, they took that and put them in boxcars and shipped them out. No telling where they went to, as far as that goes. Dad had a real good job there. I never did get hurt real bad at the Western, but Sister Leela, she was operating a machine, and them machines, they had long steel thing we call punches, and they go down inside of them and I think shape them shells or bullet jackets. That's the sharp end of the shell, and they'd one time she was operating a machine. That machine come down on her finger, and yet today she may have a big brown circle on that finger. Had a long time.
Do you remember that? Do you remember the school at Goodhart pretty well? You said that it was a big hill just after you went past the school. Was the school up on top of the hill?
Yeah.
From the village?
Well, no, not in the village. We walked quite a ways away from the village. If we come up on top of the hill from the village, middle village, then we could go up a big hill. We'd go up 2 or 3 places. And we'd get up on there, right by the farm, over there at the farm. And we would walk maybe pretty near a mile. Then we'd turn east on the road, old dirt roads, right through the timber. As part of the time. And we'd start going up a big hill, then down on the other side and up and down. And I guess maybe about the 3rd one on the top of it was where the schoolhouse was. Then we could turn down a little road and go down through the timber a ways. And we lived on a farm there, and my dad carried mail. We lived there, I don't know how long. But we moved about 3 times. There was a schoolhouse. That old schoolhouse wasn't a bad-looking school. Little old white school, and it we had a big schoolyard, and there was a fence partly around the school there, and all down the side of the fence was a big long pile of sticks of wood. They was cut up, you know. Yeah. Oh, I would never tell you how many cord was in that thing. And we got our, that's where we got our heat at school.
Well, where was, from Middle Village, where was Goodhart, the village of Goodhart, from Middle Village? Or was Middle Village
Oh,
part
just
of it?
about a mile down the way.
About a mile north?
Yeah. North and.
But it was down below the hill too, or was it up
Yeah,
on
you
top of the
could
hill?
go right down the village road north and come right to Goodhart. And there wasn't anything but a store and a big ice house right there in Goodhart. And of course, the post office was in the store.
And that was Lampkin's store, you said?
Uh-huh. You could come out of Lambkin's store and you could walk the road a ways going north, start going right up a hill up on top. And we got up on that hill and we maybe go a few blocks, wasn't no blocks, was country. But then we turned north a little ways and we lived on what was known as the Lampkin Farm. Oh, that's where my dad carried mail. And you could turn and start going south, and you could, if you stayed on top of the hill, you'd just keep going till you went to Herbert Springs.
But if you went north, you would go to Cross Village. Is that right?
Well, that village, that road went north till we went up that hill and out that way, and Cross Village, I guess, was maybe about 9 miles from where we lived. But one place there on the Lampton Farm where we lived, you could go right by that place and keep going north. You'd come to Cross Village.
Was there very many people in Cross Village then?
Oh, I don't think it was too big a place. I don't know
It
what
was
the
bigger than Goodhart though, wasn't it? Or not?
Yes, I think. I don't know how many stores they had or anything.
Do you remember a big stone building there in Cross Village? I don't know what it would have been back then, maybe a store. It was a big stone building. And it would be on the same side of the road as the lake. It'd be on the kind of the bluff overlooking the lake.
Yeah?
Do you remember that?
No.
Remember that either?
I don't know how many Indians lived in Cross Village. We went up there one year. They had up the other side of Cross Village, there was a great big log of land, and it really wasn't cleared than that, only just some. They had up there what they call huckleberries. They was little berry, blueberry about, let's see, they was little brown berries, and they was so sweet and nice, you could eat them without sugar. Just call them huckleberries. And one year, my grandparents, Dad's folks, and some neighbors went up there and picked us a lot of them huckleberries and brought them home for Mama to can. Oh, I don't know how many quarts we got, but quite a few. Plus we camped out, just had a good time. But you had to be awful careful. Pretty near every place around there looked alike, and you'd get lost. I heard one time there was a man got lost up there, and you could hear that poor man hollering and hollering and hollering. I don't know if they ever found him before he died or not. At night, when you lived up there at Goodhart, you could hear that man start in the evening, and he'd holler, whoo, 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 whoo. And I don't know how long he was lost up there. Don't know if they ever did find him. So, was kind of cautious how far away from camp we got. Didn't have to because the huckleberries was all around there. And we just went in there and picked what huckleberries we want, camped out about a week or several days.
They just grew wild up there?
Yeah. And they was a little berry about like our little blueberries, and they were sweet. You could just pick them off the vines and eat them and enjoy them. I don't remember how many quarts we got, but we carried them. Grandpa and Granny brought us home.
Getting tired now, Mom?
No, not too bad. I guess kind of rested me up getting out. Water.
This goes on all night.
He'll do that for quite a while. Then he'll just quiet down, won't say a word, or nothing. Them Indians, they'd say, Chinipada, Smoke-a-man. Smoke-a-man. That's the best kind of white man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You learned to speak Indian pretty well when you were up there. You
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
A dog is a mokaji.
It's easier to say dog.
Yeah, but not for them.
No.
I don't know what they call cat. Never heard. They call dog mokaji. Water is beach. And they want you to run. They'd say shikan. That meant run. And oh, so many different things.
Well, those Indians you said, were they weren't Potawatomi, Chippewa Indians maybe?
I guess
Up there?
so. The French and Indian. And they, yeah, I
Now,
think.
does that pick up what we say?
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Yeah, picked up everything in the room probably.
Oh, yeah. Of course, there was a lot of the country where the Indians didn't live. I mean, quite a bit. But they never bothered anybody. You be good to them, they'd be neighborly and nice.
But there were a lot of white people there, though.
Yes, quite a few. Still, they were scattered. They, now, take down there in the village. And on that big farm, there wasn't no white people lived right around there. And
Well, when you lived in the village, you were the only white family living in the village then?
yeah,
Really?
yeah, we got along good. They was treated us right and we did them.
You said that that the Indians made a lot of crafts and things with,
Made what?
well, crafts or things out of birch.
Oh, birch.
You said that they.
Well, they was a lot of what they call birch bark trees. And them trees had 2 or 3 layers of bark on, but the outside was white. And them Indians would go and take axe or something and cut the bark off of that tree. Then they'd to take them trees home, or not, they could take that bark home and they'd separate it, take that white part off, the rough outside, and the middle was colored a little bit, brown, kind of brown. And oh, they'd make beautiful things. They'd take them porcupines and color them all kind of pretty colors.
The quills, you mean, the porcupine quills.
Porcupine quills. They covered the old little baskets and lots of things that they covered and made them so pretty. And they'd sell too. They used to take them and sell them to Mr. Lansing, the merchant. And he could resell them in different places. Well, he could sell them there, I guess, too, somewhat. But they sold the pretty things they made. One time, they made what they call I think, collar box. It was all made out of that birch bark and porcupine quills. And they would take that bark and shape it. That after they got that little box, then some of them was round. They'd take them colored quills and paint them white, and they'd cover the outside of that birch bark solid with quills, white quills. Then they'd make a top for that box and put a little handle on it, and that's the way they made their little boxes. But if a baby died, they had its funeral at the Catholic Church, and they covered that little casket with birch bark and porcupine quills, all kinds of flowers or whatever that they put on them little caskets.
You said the men, they mostly fished. Is that how they made their living?
They fished, and maybe in the winter time they worked in the timber, and they just general.
Was there a lot? Were they doing a lot of logging up there? A lot of working the timber then?
Well, quite a bit. I couldn't say how much. I know one year my dad was working for the Mr. Lamp, and he had a farm place, and they went out there one winter, and Dad worked out there. And come back, they had what they called logging camps. It'd be camps around, little log huts here and there. Just kind of like a little village or something. And they would go out there and make wood and things. Mr. Lampkin, I don't know, couldn't tell you how many cords of wood he worked out there. My dad helped do it. And we moved out into a camp.
Hello.
Wow.
Hi.
Hi.
Go get something to eat.
Oh.
Yeah, so you're feeling a little better, huh?
Oh, I can't say that. My mouth is just as sticky, I don't know what the matter.
Really?
Just like I had glue on my lips.
Huh. Yeah. You need a drink of water?
Well, no, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I couldn't get that water warm enough to give me that sticky taste.
Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't got a tooth in my head.
Haven't got what? Oh, no teeth? Yeah. Good. Yeah. Makes it kind of tough eating steak that way, don't it, Pop? Makes it kind of tough eating steak that way, don't it?
Well, yes, I'll take it off the matter.
Yeah.
If I was to order some teeth, more or less it'd die before I got them.
Think so? Yeah.
I guess I ought to have some more water.
Okay, just a minute.
Done there?
Yeah. Not exactly.
No?
You know, my mouth is sticky. I wonder if washing my mouth with warm water might help it.
With warm water? You think that'd be better than cold water?
Why, of course.
Would it?
Should be. Well, just let it go. It don't matter.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, old chief of police down there says, I know you're not guilty.
No. No.
Well, I've been working every day.
Yeah?
Had proof of it right there on the paper. And they locked me up for full time. I was about an hour and a half late.
Or was that the time somebody took off with the horses or whatever, had the same name as yours, same last name? That time you're talking about?
Yeah, something like that. I don't listen. No,
Down in Alton, wasn't it?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, down there at the box factory. They knew I wasn't guilty. Of course, I didn't show up in time to punch him. But they punched me in anyhow.
Yeah.
I mean for full time. Timekeeper said the first time I ever seen that happen.
What, you being late?
No, I was
Oh.
in jail.
Yeah. Yeah.
They just went ahead and punched me in.
Hmm.
Full time. Everybody that's at the box factory chewed me about it.
Yeah.
Smiled at me and said, "You missed a slip one more time."
Yeah.
Even the timekeeper. I sometimes don't know what to do.
Why is that?
Well, my mouth's all sticky.
Hmm.
I'm kicking my stomach.
It was just your baby teeth that you lost, Pop. You're getting ready to get some more, I think.
Well, no, I guess I'm not cutting some teeth.
No.
I don't know. Well, I'm only 100.
Oh, no, 92, Pop. You're going to be 92.
Huh?
You're going to be 92 in September.
How many are they? Not- 92?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that ain't so much difference. Well, one man can't have everything.
Nope.
And I'm Irish.
You're Irish now or Scotch?
Scotch Irish.
Scotch Irish? Well, what else could you want? As long as you're Scotch, I guess that's about everything man could want, isn't it?
Well, I'll tell you, if a man is ashamed of his nationality, it's his own fault. He done the best he could. I got a sticky throat in my mouth.
Are you chilly?
Hmm?
Are you chilly? Or,
Oh, just a little.
oh yeah?
You put it on top of my head.
Well, there's a window open there. I can close it a little bit.
Oh, that's all. That's all right.
There's a pretty nice breeze coming through there, though.
Hmm?
I see there's a nice breeze coming through that window.
Yeah.
But that was down where you were just talking about, Mom. That was down in... You said that was in Pike County. What was the
Yeah.
name of the town? Do you remember?
Well, we lived in a little country place just across the old Mississippi River from Louisiana. Missouri. And I was there. No. Ow. I was about 5 and 6 years old along there. And there wasn't very many neighbors or children around. And I played with the merchant's son. And we went to school together. With little country place. And I can remember when my dad, and I guess his dad and brothers, helped him build a new barn. And we had a cow and a cat. And we had a couple horses till we got the new baby colt. And we, Dad had built that new barn. And, oh,
Well, was that was that at your grandparents, or did they or
No.
not? No.
that's where I live.
Okay.
My folks.
Yeah.
And we was right across the Mississippi River.
Well, isn't that close to where your grandparents lived? Didn't they all live right up in that area?
Yeah.
Okay, so then, Grandma and Grandpa, they must have been married right up in there, weren't they? In that same county?
Yeah. They were married in I'm just not certain. I know. Maybe it was 5 or 6 miles from where we lived. And
But you don't remember the town, though, huh? And the name of the town?
wasn't any town.
Wasn't a town? Just out in the
No.
country?
Just a little country place. And 2 or 3 miles from us, my dad's mother and dad and my brothers and their brothers and sisters lived on a big farm. And my mother's folks, when my grandfather was living, he had that big farm, a big fruit farm, and he raised apples and things like that, and he raised big wheat fields, and they used to cut that wheat. Well, it was green through the summer part of the time. And all kind of long, I guess, toward fall, that wheat would get ripe and would turn yellow. And then they would thresh that wheat and then take and haul it to a mill in a little old place. And they'd sell, you never would know how much wheat and grain they would sell. We used to go out there. My grandfather, when he was living, they lived up there on their farm. We had, a little place. And we used to go out there, and you could go one way and come right down a little slope and cross a little narrow creek, and walk up into my aunt's yard. And we used to go out there and stay quite a bit.
Which aunt was that, Mom?
Huh?
Which aunt was that you're talking about?
My mother's sister Laura, oldest sister. And we'd stay at their house. Of course, I had cousins. They had an old lady that guess she'd lived with them most of her life. And she used to come to our house. And it used to be in the spring of the year, we'd have what they called a levee break. And the water would overflow the land. And one time we moved out and went to the hills, out to my aunt's place and my grandfather's place. And we'd still stay out there as long as one go back home. And that little old country place, it was about maybe 6 miles, 7 miles from where your grandpa's place was, to where we went down where we lived, and go right down the road about maybe a mile or more, get on the ferry boat, go across the old Mississippi River into Louisiana, Missouri, to do our shopping and things. There where we lived, we just had 2 stores, old-fashioned country stores, and we bought groceries and things there. But sometimes the folks go to Louisiana, and I think probably cost them a quarter, maybe nickel or dime to go. And they go over there and buy or do what they want to do, come back home. And right down the road from where we lived, maybe a quarter, half a mile, was where the first store was. They was one had that little boy, Jimmy. And him and I played together. He had a sister younger than him and a brother. And us kids would play. Well, when the rivers would overflow the land, And we would, one year we, the folks, us and my parents went out to the hills to my grandparents and my aunt. And we went out there and stayed till the water would go down. One year, that water overflowed the land, and we, that water overflowed the land, and somebody went into our house, little old country home, and built a big scaffold up near the ceiling and put all of our furniture they could and our housekeeping things on that scaffold. We got out there one evening, and next morning, we had to sleep upstairs. Next morning, we come downstairs, and somebody said, well, they wanted us to come and see. And we had a new babysitter that was so, and she was born out there. We finally went back home, and it was a mess.
Well,
We had an old lady, she wasn't any relation, called her old Aunt Lou Rogers. And she stayed with my aunt, lived with them folks, and we liked her, all of us. Them days, they wore them old long black dresses and them old sunbonnets they had. And I can remember one time when the water was high, my aunt and her, they'd moved, and they moved in with us on account of the high water. And I can remember old Aunt Lou, and one day in the summertime, she was sitting in the kitchen with one of them old black dresses, great long, and had one of them old sunbonnets on, and she was sitting there churning butter. And oh, I can remember so many things. And I can remember that old lady when she died. Then, us children didn't know about people dying and things. But we was out to Aunt Lou's, out to Aunt Laura's, and one morning we got up and come downstairs. And when we got down to the stairs, bottom of the stairs, we walked right into this old lady's room. And they picked me up and let me kiss that old lady. And I don't know how many kids they done that way. And Aunt Lou died. That's the first death I can remember. She died, and we had her funeral. It's many a thing. And in the summertime, we'd take our old fishing poles would go down to the water and catch fish. I've never been able to tell you how many fish we'd catch. We used to catch a fish called the catfish. And we liked them fish 'cause didn't have many bones. And we'd fish and catch fish. Of course, they didn't sell anything because people around there could go fishing and everything. And then, oh, quite a long while after that, my dad had a sister, and she lived in Alton, Illinois. And we moved down there to Alton.
What was her name, Mom?
Huh?
What was her name?
That was Dad's sister, Aunt Lou Gillis. And we moved from Aunt Lou's place up to the next street, right beside a great big bakery called Noel's Bakery. And us kids, naturally, we played outside and played we'd get dirty. And my brother, young oldest brother, which was 2 years younger than I, him and a cousin of ours was out playing in front of that big bakery one day. There's a young woman that worked there at that bakery and called her Dinah. She went and that window and told my brother and cousin, you go home and wash your face, and I'll give you some pie. And the thing of it was, when them pies was a day old, they couldn't sell them. And he kept and put 6 big pies on a plate and give them kids. And naturally we enjoyed them. And used to remember that young woman's name. That right out in front of the bakery was a great big white concrete slab. And out by it, on the end of the street, was an old bench. And we used to go out there and play. And right by my aunt's house, the next thing over, was our fire department. And I'm telling you,
Do you remember what street that was, Mom, that you lived on then?
I lived on 3rd Street.
That was on 3rd Street?
Yeah. And my cousins and aunt and uncle, they lived on 2nd Street. They lived right next door to the fire department, such as they had. And there'd be a time, if they'd get an alarm or something, the way would go that old fire truck, drawn by horses, and they would surely run. We lived there, and one morning we got up. I was old enough to go to school. We got up and let's see. Oh, then time the girls had long hair, all of them. And my mother, I was sitting down in front of Mother, and she was combing my hair to get me ready to go to school. And she got my hair combed. And I said to Mother, of course it was always Mom at that time. I said to her something about my throat. And she looked into my throat, and it scared her. All inside my throat was white, with a big black spot right in the center. The doctor lived not too far from us. And they got him, and they told him I had diphtheria. Then they moved the rest of the family out in the kitchen and the others. Yeah, and I was quarantined in the living room. Just about 3 weeks or something. And I got over it.
Mom, how many of your brothers and sisters were born up in Pike County before you moved to Alton?
Well, there was Brother Charles, Leila, and Sylvia. And they was born in Pike County.
What about Uncle Howard?
Well, yes, Brother Howard was born in a little old place, and they called it Atlas, Illinois. He was born there. And one time, they used to have what they called windstorms. And they used to have what they called dried apples. They'd take and peel apples and slice them thin, take the core out. My mom used to take newspapers and go up to the roof and put them apples up there in the sun to dry. Come a rain or anything, why, we'd have to get them apples down, or they'd get sour bad. We lived in that little place, and we didn't know anything about pregnant woman or anything, because they're very careful what they told us. And some of them looked out, saw a little black cow off in the distance. They said, oh, we're going to have a windstorm. And the neighbor had a great big barn and was just not very far from where we were. And my aunt and my mother got us kids together and took us up there at that big barn. And just after we come back to the house where we lived, it was night, and my aunt, she went in to make up the beds and things, and my brother Howard was laying on the bed, and she either forgot or she didn't see him. She went in to make the bed, and she jerked the covers off the bed so that little baby clear across the room. Yeah, well, it scared him, but never hurt him. They threw him clear across the room. And every night when we brought them apples in, they'd do it for quite a while. And till them apples got dry. We liked to cook them. Many a thing.
Well, do you remember how old you were when you moved to Alton?
Oh, probably 5 years old or 6.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you lived there for a while before you went to Goodhart, huh?
Oh, yeah. We lived there so long. Then we moved to Alton. And there's where I had diphtheria. And
Well,
we lived there, I can't remember how long.
well, you went to school, though. You were going to school before you moved to Alton, weren't you? Or were you going to school in Pike County?
Yeah, I went to school a while. Little old country school. And I didn't have any brothers or sisters old enough to go to school at that time. And I, a little neighbor boy, we went to school together. We had little old round tin lunch pails. Mom take the packets of lunch, pack me a lunch, and we'd go up through the country a ways to a schoolhouse. And we had our dinner there at school. Then we'd come home about 4 o'clock. Went to school there. Then, when we moved to Alton, I went to school there a while that's when I got that diphtheria. I don't remember just how long. That went to school there. Then we moved further out from town. We're still in the town. And
You don't remember what that street was, do you? When you moved to?
Same little old country place. Well, different place, but same country.
Yeah.
And went to school there. A while anyway. Them days. If the parents wanted to send you to school, you went. And if they didn't, you didn't go. There wasn't no law said you had to go to school. And after we moved down to Alton, we lived there. I can't remember just how long. And my dad's brother, Frank, he come there from Michigan. And then after he come, later, Mom and Dad decided to move up there to northern Michigan. Oh, I went to school up there maybe 5 or 6 years, something. Then we come back to Illinois, and we was all sick, boy. And so we decided to go back to up there in the northern part of Michigan. And we lived up there in different places till I was about 16 years old. There's where I had my first boyfriend. And
You remember what his name was?
Yeah. George Baker.
Yeah.
And way I went, started in going with him out in the country a ways. They had some folks we know. I worked for them. They had these folks. They had a farm, and I used to go out there and pick currants and things. And on their farm they had a great big old barn, and they had a part of that barn fixed up so we'd have barn dances. And my dad went, and this boyfriend and the folks where he stayed all went. And I got going out there with them folks and got acquainted with this George. And we went together quite a while. And then later we moved back to Michigan. And well, that's where I met this George, in Herbert Springs, Michigan. But I and Dad and George, some more folks, would all get in a wagon that was drawn by horses and go across the country to that barn dance. I was about 16. Went with George quite a while. Then we moved. Finally come back to Alton and moved around.
Well, did you go to Oklahoma once? I'd heard this story about moving to Oklahoma.
Yeah, when I was a baby. And the way we went to Oklahoma, you heard about it, maybe seen some of them old-fashioned covered wagons. And they took horses and took the families and their belongings and went to Oklahoma.
Did you go, was it a wagon train?
Yeah, well, we was all relatives.
Yeah.
But we went to Oklahoma and we got down there and stayed a while. And my mother got a job of cooking for either wood or cotton choppers. And one day at noon, she went outside. We had old-fashioned wood piles. We'd chop wood and that for fire. And she was picking up some chips, and something either bit or stung her on the finger. And it just looked like she's going to die in spite of everything. But she didn't, and we got ready then to come back to Illinois.
So you didn't stay there very long then, huh?
Well, quite a little while. Yeah. Because I was a baby then, and I was about 5 or 6 years old. We lived down there. And remember about that old country place. And I wasn't too old. Then my brother, oldest brother, Charles, he was born. I Mystic in Pike County. And we finally moved to Alton, and from Alton we went to Michigan and stayed. I was about 16 years old. We come back from Michigan. And oh, many happy days had up there. But all over the land up there, they had an awful lot of timber. And you could walk a mile or more right down a road, timber on both sides, just far up as you could see. And we had to walk down that long road to either go to school or to buy groceries. Well, finally folks decided to come back to Alton. And
Did you go to school after you went back to Alton, or were you all through with school by the time you went back?
no, I went to school in Alton before I went to Michigan.
Yeah, but when you came back, then did you still go
Then
to?
when I come back, I was 16 years old, and I got a job working in the ammunition plant, the war shell, and I got me a job, worked there on my brother Charles, and he worked nights and I worked days. I started in 80 cents a day, and then they raised it up to $1, and I got $1 a day. Then, when World War I was, I got afraid to work there. The Germans said they was going to blow that place up, that ammunition place, and we made shells. War shells, and I packed them. And you know, them shells, you'd be surprised how they're made. Every part, even that little tiny primer in the end, is inspected and packed separate. And them Germans got said, won't blow that place up. At one time, when you went in there in the morning, you'd take, I think it was about 6 o'clock, you'd go into that place, and we had what we called a clock house. And we had time cards in that place. And at work hour, time to go to work, they opened up them doors, and we went through a little place, a little old building, and punched our time card and went on in and went to work. And we had to go backward and forth on the train. And we worked in there, but what I was going to say, when you went through that clock house, you was locked in a great big high board fence all around you, and you couldn't get out or anything. One day we was working, and we had lunch at noon, and we started back to work, and there was an awful loud noise. Bang it went. And there we was. Uh, but we couldn't get out. And we just sat there. One woman was hurt so bad she died that night. And another girl lived on the street below us. Well, she lost her slipper. But we couldn't have got out there till they turned us out, or till 6 o'clock at night. Then the whole bunch of us would go through that clock house and punch out, punch our time cards. Then we,
So you worked 12 hours then? You went in at 6 in the morning and
I think about 10.
10 hours?
Something like that. And we come out of that place. We had to walk a little ways and get the train and go home.
How much did it cost for a train then?
Oh, probably about 10 cents a day or something like that. We got, when we bought tickets, we'd get 20 rides for $1. So it didn't cost very much. We went backward and forth. And later, we had what we called 8-hour girls. And them girls got 80 cents a day. And they raised us up to $1. Many a day I worked in there. Wasn't hard work.
Pay was good too.
Huh?
I said the pay was good too.
Well, for then, and things was so cheap that we might not have thought so right then.
You was working there when Pop proposed to you, wasn't you, Mom?
Well, I had been. And then he worked nights.
Now you lived on Long Avenue then, you said, didn't you?
Yeah, we lived in one house and Pop lived in the next. He had a ton of us working there too. I lived right among a bunch of relatives. First place, my dad's mother and father. And my young aunt, which was 2 months younger than I. And she was married and had a little girl.
What was her name, Mom?
Huh?
What was her name?
Her married name was Mrs. Allen Leslie. Her name was Bessie. I know a lot of times when we'd get up and work, go home, and eat supper, and take down for Grandpa's place as fast as we could go, which wasn't but about 3 houses from where we lived. We'd go down there and have a big time through the evening. Then we'd go home. Wasn't afraid to go. We'd go home. Next morning, get up and start over. And I worked there so long at that. Then, one time, my boss laid on my cousin and some girls off for 2 weeks. Laid us off. And I don't know how many girls went back, but down at the glass factory where my dad worked, what was my boss later, she told my dad if I would come down there, he'd put me to work. Next morning I went to work with Dad and walked into the old grinding room where I worked and worked there. And then if I wanted to, I could. In the evening, I could turn around and walk home with Dad or by myself or however. And we didn't have to have any train fare out of that. Got $1 a day.
And that's where you met Pop at, right there. Right there. Well, you said he was living next door to you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We lived in one big concrete building and he lived the next, which you know wasn't far apart in the town there. Oh. Him and his mother and his sister lived there. His dad was gone. And my parents, myself, my oldest brother, couple of my sisters worked at that old Western. Well, a day was good pay because you didn't have to pay very much for things, you know.
Yeah.
The cost of living.
What'd you pay for your wedding dress?
Huh? Well, I kind of forgot, but it didn't cost very much. I had a white lace blouse, and it had a piece here in the front